Hey, what's up guys, Luke Profits. Today we're going to be talking about the criteria for items to dropship on Amazon. So basically, if an item meets these criteria, then I would list it, and if it doesn't meet these criteria, then I probably would not list it. The first thing to check is just, is the item FBA or FBM? Most of the time, if an item is FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, then the sale's just going to go to them automatically, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to list an FBA item on Amazon most of the time. There can be some exceptions, but in general, if a product is FBA, don't list it. If you don't know what FBA is, I've got a video up here that sort of explains it, so you can just click on that and it goes over everything. But yeah, you don't really need to waste your time with FBA items because it's a waste of time. Amazon is always going to pick themselves over a third-party seller, so unless the buyer manually goes into other sellers and clicks on you, you're probably not going to get the sale with an FBA item. And I guess I should mention here, nothing bad happens if you do try to dropship an FBA product. It's just that you're not going to get the sale because Amazon's giving the buy box to themselves basically on FBA products. It's safe to list, it's just that it's not going to sell, and the only kind of exception to that can be if the buy box price is higher by quite a bit and you can really undercut them by a few bucks, then maybe you might get sales on that. But just in general, the products that are FBA have Amazon as a seller on them. They're just going to give the buy box to themselves, so not worth your time. The next thing that you need to check is the item safe to list? There are certain brands that you're not allowed to sell called IP brands, and I've got a whole video on that, how to stay safe from them. If you're listing IP brands, that's obviously a problem and it's going to get your account suspended, so don't do that. You want to avoid that. You can use Reprice Hub to do that. Also, you don't want to list products that have less than 3 stars. So if you go on Amazon and you see, oh, this product is getting, a bunch of 2-star reviews, or, 3-star, 3 stars is kind of like the minimum. Like if it doesn't have at least 3 stars on Amazon or higher, 3 point something up, then you're not going to want to list it, just because there are a lot of people that for some reason are buying the product and then just not liking it, and it's causing problems. It's probably causing returns. It's probably causing all these issues. 4 stars, 5 stars, that's great. 3 stars is a little bit more iffy, and then obviously don't list anything below that. The next thing that you want to do to make sure that selling an item is safe is to check how many other people are selling it. When you're on a product on Amazon, you should be able to see new from blank others, and you can click on that and you can see all the other people that are selling it and what prices they're selling at. And if there's less than 5, there's probably a reason. Sometimes you'll find a product that seems great, it matches all the criteria, but there's only one person selling it. And usually when that's the case, it means that there's something weird going on. Maybe the place that's selling it isn't technically an IP brand, but they're aggressively trying to get rid of everybody else who is selling on this product. And it's usually best to just totally avoid those products if they don't have several sellers on them. And obviously if you have too many sellers on an item, that can be annoying just because there's so many people that you're competing with. So, generally if there's more than 5, that's good. And then less than 20 is ideal. But if there's way more than that, you can still list it. It's just that there's so many people you're competing with, you're a lot less likely to get a sale on it. Having a bunch of people selling on one item can be annoying because, you're less likely getting a sale, so it's bad in that sense. But on the other hand, if a bunch of people are listing it and selling that item, then that it's probably safe to list because none of them are having issues, so you're probably not going to have issues either. So more than 5 is ideal, and then as few extras past that just means you're going to probably get more sales, but it doesn't hurt you if there are more sellers, other than the fact that you might not get sales. So to summarize, you're looking for FBM items that are safe, non-IP brands that have 3 or more stars and also have at least 5 sellers selling the product. If it meets all those criteria, it should probably be safe to list. Another important thing to remember though is just because it's safe to list doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make any money from it. So it doesn't really hurt you to have it up, because on Amazon you have infinite listing limits, but it might also not be worth the time just listing any product that meets those criteria. So let's go over what criteria are going to make you money. One of the really important things to look at when selling on Amazon is to find items that are actually selling a lot. If an item is listed on Amazon and it's great and it meets all the criteria and you list it, but it's selling 1 time a month, probably not going to make a whole lot of money from that. So you want to look for products that are selling at least 5 times a month, ideally. If you're listing a ton, you could go lower than that, but really it's, you want stuff that's selling at least 5 times a month. If it's not selling 5 times a month once every 6 days, then you're probably not going to make a whole lot of money from it. Obviously, the more sales, the better. So if it's selling 1,000 times a month, you're more likely to get sales from that than if it's selling 5 times a month, unless of course, there's so much competition on the 1,000 times a month that you can't be, remotely profitable, and then you're just not going to get sales because you can't compete on price. But, the more sales, the better. And by the way, 5 sales a month, I'm saying is like kind of the minimum. Like if you've done all the research and it sells 3 times a month, like you can list it. Why not if you've already done the research? But you're looking for products that are selling 5 times or more. If it sells 1,000 times in a month, that's a lot better. Obviously, you can probably make a lot more money from that than if it's just selling 5 times a month. Now, how can you see how many times a product is selling per month on Amazon? Because, that's not just on the page like this item has sold this many times this month. No, you have to use special tools to be able to see that. And you don't necessarily need them, but they can be helpful. So one that I've used is AMZ Scout. I've messed with that one a little bit, and it's pretty cool. It'll show you sort of an estimated number of sales per month. 2 other options are Jungle Scout and ASIN Inspector. Those are all tools that'll show you an estimated number of sales. Now, interesting thing to note, if you look at the same product, on all of them, they'll all give you kind of different results. Jungle Scout seems to overestimate a little bit. ASIN Inspector seems to underestimate a little bit. And then AMZ Scout, which is the one that I've messed with a little bit, that one seems to give you kind of a more balanced view and is usually kind of in between those numbers. I don't think it is technically an exactly accurate number. It's more of like an estimate that's based on some other stuff, but I like AMZ Scout because it's kind of between those two, and it also gives you some other functionality that can help you find products more quickly and stuff like that. I've talked to the guys that run AMZ Scout, and so I'm going to see if they can give me like a promo link or something like that that gives you all a discount, and if I do, then you'll see a link down here. You can click on that, also link in the description, but if not, then I probably just haven't gotten that done yet. So yeah, AMZ Scout, pretty useful tool that can kind of help speed up some stuff like that, but you don't need to pay for AMZ Scout to be able to get an estimate. There's another method that you can use. It's a little bit more annoying, but it works, is to just look at the bestseller rank. The bestseller rank, or BSR, you can find on every single Amazon listing. Just scroll down to sort of the product details, product information area, and you should see something that says BSR, and it'll give you a number. That's basically just telling you what rank it is in the product. So all the products that are in that category, is it near the top? Like number 1 would be at the very top, the best-selling product in that category. And then if it's, way down there, then it's going to be, it sells a lot less often. The bestseller rank is literally just a list of, what sells the most frequently in order of most sales to least sales. So anything that has a rank that is a smaller number than 300,000 means that it's, one of the top 300,000 items. So usually items sort of from that area are pretty good because they're selling a whole lot more. If your product is 300,000, then it sells very infrequently. So, the higher the number, the better. And obviously it depends based on category. So say in one category, a product that's at 100,000 is getting, 1,000 sales a month. But then in a different, less popular category, a product that's at 100,000 in that category is getting 100 sales a month or something. You can have a difference like that. So you can't just compare bestseller rank to bestseller rank because the categories can be different. So in one category, 29,000 might be okay and get 10 sales a month. But then in another category, something that low is just not going to sell at all. You'll get 1 sale a month or something like that. So you can't directly compare bestseller rank to bestseller rank unless they're in the same category. But just as a rule of thumb, between 1 and 300,000 probably means it's an okay product to list. And if it is past that, if it's 400,000 or 350,000 or something like that, it's going to sell a whole lot less often. So that's sort of a free way that you can estimate it if you don't want to use paid tools like AMZ Scout. So what you're going to do to see if an item is profitable to list is you take your Amazon buy box price. In this example, we're going to say it's $100 times 0.85. And that's going to give you, in this example, since I used $100 for easy math, $85 left over. So basically you're getting charged a $15 Amazon fee, which is, that's their 15% cut. With $100, it's a $15 fee. So you got $85 left. If you can get the product to the buyer for less than $85, then you can compete on that and make money. So let's say, for easy math, from your supplier, buying the item is going to cost you, with shipping, tax, all that good stuff. You can get tax exempt, of course, as a drop shipper, but if you're not already, shipping, tax, the actual product, all that stuff, shipped to the buyer's house. If you can do that, say it's the same product, you can do it for $80, then with the $85 that we have left, it costs us $80 to fill the order, so you got $5 profit on that order. So, every time you get a sale there, you're able to make $5 just ordering it from here and having it sent to the buyer. So that's kind of how you determine if something is profitable or not. You just take the buy box price on Amazon, multiply it times 0.85, see what's left, and then subtract the total cost of your item, and of course the the cost of your items is going to include the cost of the item, tax if you're paying it because you're, not tax exempt yet. And the price, of course, is going to include the cost of the item, the cost of shipping the item to the buyer, and then tax. So, that can change from supplier to supplier. Some places have free shipping, some places charge you for shipping. And then, of course, if you're not tax exempt, you have to pay tax as well. But as a drop shipper, you should get tax exempt once you're doing a certain amount of sales because it's just money that you're losing. You don't have to pay tax as a reseller who never touches the product. I'm not a financial advisor, tax advisor, whatever, talk to tax people about that, but that's basically what it is. So with the product that you're drop shipping, look at the price, multiply it times 0.85, see what that is, see how much it costs to get the item, subtract it from whatever that, amount that's left is. And if there's any money left, that's your cut every time you get a sale. Sometimes it can be okay if it's only a really tiny amount, because if you get the buy box item on something that's selling 1,000 times a month and you're only making $1 or $2, that can still be really good because it's one product. If you can get a ton of those sales, it can be worth it, even if it's just not that much profit on one. Usually you want to look for like 5 to 10% profit, because if it's less than that, you're making so little per order that it might not be worth it, but it's up to you. You can figure that out. But I'm suggesting 5 to 10%, somewhere around there, profit per sale is ideal. Also, something to note, don't get discouraged if you're looking for products and you're finding a bunch that don't have a whole lot of margin left or anything like that. If it meets all the other criteria, you can still list the product anyway, and it'll just be at a higher price. And then if those people who are selling at a really low price that, you can't really compete with because they're so cheap, if those people run out of stock or run out of credit, because, they're people drop shipping too, so they probably have, an amount of money that they can put out while they're waiting to get their Amazon payment. So maybe they're selling at a really low price, but then they're going to run out of credit, and so they'll stop saying that it's available. Then the price is going to go to the next seller. So if you can be close in there or even on the list, it can still be a good idea to list those items, because sometimes, those sellers will get wiped out because, they ran out of credit for the month or something like that. They can't fill new orders, so they stop for a little bit, and then that's going to raise the price. You can jump in, get a few sales there, and then when they come back on later, then you're going to stop getting sales. But you can still get sales from products that you can't really compete on price, because sometimes those people who are selling at such low prices run out of credit or something like that, and then it goes up. The price ends up going up, and then you can get sales. So since there are no listing limits on Amazon, if it meets all the other criteria, might as well list the product, because it's possible you could get sales. Infinite listing limits on Amazon doesn't really hurt to list it, especially if you're using Reprice Hub. They're checking the stock and everything like that, so you'll be fine. It's ideal to find items that you can just compete on without doing it, but you're probably going to find 10 items that you can't compete on for every one that you do. So just list those other 10 anyway, because it'll end up being a couple sales for you. One other thing that I should mention with Amazon that I probably should have mentioned earlier is that, unlike with other places when you're drop shipping something, it needs to be exactly the same product with Amazon. So, and when I say the same product, I mean like literally the same everything. Say, for example, let's say this water bottle is what is being sold on Amazon, and then I have the exact same water bottle here that I can get from a different supplier, but let's say the branding is different. Like say you've got somebody white labeling, they bought this product and they said, oh, this is liquid brand water. But they're literally just taking it and then rebranding it to their own branding. You cannot go order this product, even though it's identical. You can't sell, if this says, oh, this is white label liquid brand water or whatever, and then I get an identical product that is not the same because the brand is different, it's not from liquid brand or whatever, even though it's the identical product, you don't want to list it on Amazon, because Amazon can just be a lot more nitpicky about stuff like that. So on eBay, it wouldn't really matter because the product is literally identical and the customer won't notice any difference. But on Amazon, there are a lot of people that are doing white labeling things like that. So if it's not literally exactly the same, and when I say exactly the same, the product can be exactly the same, but even like the brand and stuff like that, if it's not exactly the same, you shouldn't list it on Amazon. So one more thing that I should mention in there for just in case you stumble across sort of white labeling kind of thing like that. To summarize, you're looking for an FBM product that is not an IP brand, that is 3 stars or more on Amazon with less than 5 sellers, that you can drop ship profitably for lower than the buy box price. And just to clarify, sometimes the price that you see something for sale at is lower than the buy box price, you know, the buy box price being just the price that you see when you go to the listing. But then if you click new from other sellers, you can see like other prices. If the price in new from other sellers is lower, you don't need to worry about competing with them because they don't have the buy box. So you only want to compete there for the first like 3 months when you're drop shipping on Amazon, because it's hard to get the buy box then. But then once you're getting the buy box, you don't need to compete anymore with the lowest price. You just compete with the buy box price. So be 1 cent below the buy box and then you'll probably get it. You only compete with the lowest price when you're a brand new seller and you really need some like good feedback and sales and stuff like that. After that, you start competing with the buy box price. If it meets all those criteria, it's probably a good item and I would go ahead and list it. And you want the bestseller rank too, of course, between 1 and 300,000. Forgot to mention that on the list, but yeah, bestseller rank between 1 and 300,000. That's something else on there too. And if the bestseller rank is, you know, a bigger number than 300,000, that just means it probably doesn't sell as much. It's not going to hurt you to list it. Probably just not going to make much from it. And same thing, if you find an item that meets all the criteria, you just can't drop ship it profitably, you can always list it and you might get some sales from it as the sellers change up or change their prices or anything like that. Just being there on the listing can be helpful. And some people's entire method is they'll list 100,000 products and then they'll just wait for something to happen on one. And, you know, they'll list it so that they make a little profit and they just are hoping that, you know, all the time this is going to go out of stock and that one's going to go out of stock. And it's not that many, but when you have 100,000 products up, you know, you're going to have quite a few that, oh, the things are changing around and now I'm the seller and I'm making a little bit. So that's a whole nother method. It seems a little risky to me because, you know, listing 100,000 products, that's a lot. You know, you'd think that one of them is going to cause a problem or something, but, you know, some people do it. It's an interesting method. I might look into it a little bit more in the future, but yeah, so that's what you're going to look for. Hopefully these sort of tips and, you know, helpful criteria of what to look for when finding items to list has been really helpful to you. And if it has, then go ahead and like the video, all that good stuff, and subscribe because I'll be back here with another video in a couple days. Well, guys, that's it for the video. If you're new to dropshipping on Amazon and you're trying to figure out how to get started, I've got a full free set of training videos down there, link in the description. Goes over everything you need to know to get started dropshipping on Amazon. And Amazon's great because compared to other platforms, it's actually super easy to get sales with very few listings because there's so many more buyers on Amazon and so many few sellers that you're competing with compared to other platforms like eBay. If you've got any questions about anything dropshipping related, feel free to hit me up on Facebook. I'll put a link down there, as well as a link to a group that I started that has hundreds of other dropshippers in it that you can join. I post new content on this channel every few days, so go ahead and subscribe and hit the notifications, and I'll be back with another video in a couple days.